Just reminded me, do y'all still have that coal-fired plant in Shreveport, Louisiana, or did y'all shut that down?
I believe that has been shut down.
So the chair just reminded me, my ratepayers in Louisiana are still paying for that.
Absolutely.
Because it did not go to its life. So when we speak about higher energy costs, and they've risen significantly during this administration, part of that is the kind of unrealized productivity of sunk assets. And let's be clear, that's regressive. That is regressive. Poor people pay a greater percent of their income for this unrealized potential. But I will note, by the way, in Northwest Louisiana and Louisiana, you guys in CLECO, I think, supply that area, and y'all have great reliability. So I just also want to give you a congratulations, a shout out. Our state consumes a lot of energy, and you guys are providing reliable energy, so I appreciate that. Let me ask you this. I recently toured Sempra, building a little bit off of Senator Cortez Masto, Sempra in Southern California, and 100% of their electricity right now is being supplied by renewables. You just got to hand it to them. It's remarkable. Now, I don't think of Southern California as being huge in manufacturing, but there's more than I thought there was. Now, they admitted in another time of the year it would have a mix. But just to say this kind of load balancing, it is possible, correct? I mean, as much as I believe in fossil fuel and the necessity for base load, in a place like Southern California with lots of renewables, et cetera, it's certainly possible, correct?
I will tell you, in all sincerity, they're connected to a big grid that somewhere has that dispatchable 24/7 likely fossil fuel that is supplying them. And you can stream renewables from different places, but at the end of the day, they're still connected to grids that have fossil capability on that.
So I was struck that Micron located downstream from a nuclear power plant. And that was one of the reasons you did there. Somehow I think state subsidies had a role to do with it, but that's okay, we'll leave that. So for that, always got to be on, even if you're like this great utility in Southern California in which at that time they were using 100% renewables, you still got to have that base load.
Absolutely. And, that nuclear power plant is not, I assume, is not behind the meter at Micron. It's on the grid. So it's supplying resources, to the entire grid for the benefit of many customers, not just Micron.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mills, going to permitting reform, I've been interested in the judicial review aspect of permitting reform. Any comments on that?
Well, I think, as you well know, Senator, one of the big challenges for large manufacturers of any kind is that the permits are effectively in an infinite period of potential review, judicial and other forms of review, which is why we see exactly the kind of challenges, especially to the transmission line in Idaho. The same was true in Maine, where I spent my summers, transmission line that just never got built.
So again, the chairman knows how lawsuit after lawsuit can effectively tie up something and effectively kill the project. So I like to say that the folks on the other side of the dais want power lines, and the folks on this side want pipelines, but we really want both because we know that both are essential. So is it fair to say that the permitting reform that would benefit both power and pipe are the same ones that would benefit pipe and power?
Well, yes, sir, that would be a terrific outcome to accelerate the permitting of both, because the world cannot operate without both.
Gotcha. Sir, I know that Micron has had development in China. I just know that because the Chinese have been somewhat non-cooperative with your economic development there. Is the power source there coal, or what is the typical source that you get there?
I don't know what the power source of our back-end facility, but Micron, we're one of very few semiconductor manufacturing companies that does not have front-end manufacturing.
That does not have what?
Front-end, we don't have a fab in China.
Got it. I want to point out that I've just learned this, that I think 60% of Chinese power is generated by coal. They typically don't turn on their scrubbers because that decreases the efficiency. Oftentimes they are built on the Pacific coast, which means the trade winds blow them over to the United States. So the degree that our energy policy increases the cost of energy and therefore encourages someone to move to China, we are actually worsening global greenhouse gas emissions because we're increasing consumption of Chinese coal-fired electricity as opposed to clean-burning U.S. electricity be it renewables, nuclear, or natural gas. And natural gas has accounted for a decrease in absolute emissions in the United States, less than I think now, well, certainly 2005. You guys will tell me it's probably even earlier, despite a bigger population, a bigger economy, and more electricity usage. I say all that, and I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Right on, brother.